Welcome to Chromatic Counsel podcast, the podcast where law, leadership, and color collide. I'm your host, Kerry Heaps, and we have a great show lined up for you today. Just a quick announcement. If you are in the Florida or Texas area and you are duly accredited in both states, or even if you're just accredited in one, if you are needing some CLE credits, I have my Digital Tells How to Read Body Language on Zoom class. That is a webinar, live webinar. We have a couple of upcoming dates, and then I also have it as an on-demand webinar, but it is accredited in both Texas and Florida. And Florida, it is accredited for tech credits. There's a link in the show notes below if you want to learn more and sign up. And getting back to today's show, so I have a great show lined up for you, and my guest today is Nina Cleere. Nina is a former attorney turned law firm growth strategist and marketing expert who's helped law firms, small business owners attract better leads and turn their marketing into consistent revenue through better strategies. With over 25 years of experience and a track record scaling multi-million dollar companies, she builds marketing systems that do what they're supposed to do, which is make you money. So Nina, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
We're super glad to have you here. And I checked out a couple of things, of course, when we initially connected to be on the show. And I would love for you to just tell our listening audience just a little bit more about you, because I want to know what made you make that leap from practicing law to, helping law firms grow. Was there a certain moment that made you realize I'm better on this side of the table, or what's the story there?
I'll try to keep it brief, but I found digital marketing when I was in law school. And I'm old, and this was when most people didn't have laptops for law school, so we had a computer lab, and all the men would go and play like World of Warcraft or whatever, and I found beauty boards. So it was the late 90s, and I helped grow like a messaging board about makeup and things to over 100,000 unique visitors a month. And
Oh,
so, and I did that while I was in law school, and then after I'd graduated, but I was spending like 60 hours a week on it. And I was like, you guys, like, I love this, but I have enough nail polish, enough. And I
mhm,
can't pay my bills on this. So this was kind of before influencers and everything. And so I was like, I just got to work.
mhm.
And then, but I kind of always kept it on the side. And then I was corporate counsel, helped her run a company, helped to double it in size. And then I became a guardian ad litem
Mhm.
and represented abused and neglected children in court, which I always wanted to do. But then I had my son, and people would say to me, now you get it, right? And I was like, no, I understand less now than when
Mhm.
and so it was just really hard to be a solo parent and just see people do horrible things to their kids. And
Yeah.
I just thought, you know what? I love the dopamine rush of helping people problem solving and helping people succeed.
Mhm.
And I can do that through marketing better than I can do that through a very frustrating system in Utah where parents had more rights than kids and things like that. And so I just kind of slowly shifted over time to not just, plus, you're always learning, things are always changing, and that's exciting and fun, right?
Right.
So that's what kind of led me to it.
And I always love to find out, because I have obviously several attorneys that listen to the show, and I've had several that have been guests like you that were in law and then were like, hey, I can't do this anymore for whatever reason, whether it was personal or professional. So if there's any attorneys that are listening that are like, you know what, I would love to I've been thinking about doing something like this, and maybe it's not to go into marketing, but to go into a different realm, and they're wanting to take that leap, because it seems like for a lot of people, it's either pretty immediate, like it happens really quickly, or it happens over time. It's gradual. What would be your advice to those attorneys that want to go from law into something totally different?
Don't think about it, just do it.
I love that. Yeah. We can overthink, right? I mean, I think
Yeah.
everybody can, but it's definitely like, don't, I can see where an attorney would be like making pluses and minuses or those pro and con list or just arguing both sides of their life per se. So I love that you shared that.
And maybe a little more practical is and I think this is one of the reasons law firms fail is that we're not taught this, but know your numbers.
Mhm,
Because honestly, if we can't pay our bills, like somebody told me they took some training and they said if you're not making money from your business, you just have an expensive hobby.
mhm,
And so people, you have to be able to make the money you need to live, right? So
mhm.
if you don't know how to figure out numbers, um, that's something you have to learn, figure out too.
Yeah. And I find it interesting as a person who teaches CLE, not just in Florida, but in other states, that a lot of times these bar associations, they don't want to accredit anything that is marketing related.
Hmm.
And which I find very interesting because I hear from a lot of attorneys who are like, we're not taught how to market in law school and we struggle with it and we don't know, so they're not only having to take CLE classes, they're having to take separate classes to market. What do you feel most attorneys kind of misunderstand about marketing when they first start thinking about growth? Like if they've gone out on their own, or maybe they're with a smaller firm and they're responsible for bringing in clients. What do you feel that is?
What I have seen, and this is true for more than just law firms, is that often we are so close to what we do that we think we're super clear about how we help people, and
Mhm,
we're not. And so that's what helps to have outside eyes on it, like a marketing agency or a marketer, is I go to websites all the time and I'm like, I don't even know what you do.
mhm,
Like I read it and AI is great and it's
mhm,
useful, but if you hire someone to write your website, the chances are you have the word empower and the word elevate and the
mhm.
word deep dive on your homepage. And everybody, one time I looked at over 1,000 websites for chiropractors. I was doing some research for somebody, and 90% of them were like, we're different. And I was like, at that point, nobody's different. you know,
Oh my gosh, that
and
is
so you
so
just have
funny.
to, like, you have to say who you help and how you help them immediately. And
Mhm,
most people don't get that, and I have found most attorneys don't have a website to actually get clients. They have a website to impress their competitors, which
wow, that's powerful. I love that. I love that you said that because, and you're right. It's almost like you look at all the personal injury websites and you can probably see the same thing, I would imagine. And then you see others that they're like they include a personal story or they're like, I help you, it's like really simple and simplistic and like this is what I do, this is who I help, here's how to get in touch with me. And that's really I think we have a tendency as human beings to overcomplicate things. And I definitely think marketing falls in that category. I really do.
yeah.
So I love that. I do want to talk about something GEO because when I was looking, I was like, this is something I've never really heard of. So, generative engine optimization. I would love for you to kind of explain what that is. So, for the attorneys that are hearing this for the first time, and how is this different from the traditional search engine optimization that we're all kind of conditioned to do when we're thinking about blog posts or whatever.
hmm Yeah, it's really interesting. So it's another thing that, my non-diagnosed ADHD brain is like, wow, something new to learn. So I'm a little bit obsessed with it. But so we all know ChatGPT or Claude or Perplexity or even Google
Hmm.
has, um, their own AI, and GEO is helping AI find you and
Hmm.
recommend you. And ChatGPT just came out and said now they're running ads for two different tiers, the free tier and there's one like an $8 a month plan, called like the Flex plan, or I can't remember the name. Anyway, people are going into AI and asking questions like, how do I write a will? Do I need to do this? Do I need to do that? And
Hmm.
then saying, is there an attorney near me you can recommend?
Hmm.
And they're giving like two people that they are able to find them
Hmm.
through, through the web, and because they've optimized and referring them. So I know a number of attorneys that have gotten clients from that. I don't think it's up to like 50%, but I think it's almost 30% are using AI over going to Google now.
Wow. So, like, for example, I was actually on AI last night, and you're right, every single system, Square even has it now. Like, if like Square marketing, like, here, just put in what you want and then we'll generate something. And I tested it out last night just to see how it would go. But I used ChatGPT. Um, and Microsoft 365 has one. So I have two different ones that I've used before. So like for ChatGPT, for example, if I'm asking it like, something about law firms and I'll hit the enter key and it'll say searching the web. So is it actually searching the web or is it searching the web and its own, I guess, internal database? Is it doing both?
Both.
Okay.
Yes. So in the past, it used to not be able to search the web. It used to just be there, whatever results you got was based on the programming that they had put in. So it could be delayed by several months or a year. But I think since about March of 2025, most common LLMs, that's what the AI is, it's a large language model,
Hmm.
now can search the web. Um, and as it's doing searching,
Hmm.
like live. So I do think that there's some that sometimes I'll put a website into chat. I try to just call it chat because frankly, GPT is freaking hard to say, right?
I
Like,
know, right?
could you have used easier to say ones? But um, and and it will say, "Sorry, I can't read that website right now." And
Hmm.
I'm like, I don't want to take the time to figure it out. And frankly, we're already killing the environment by using AI. So I'm like, okay, I'll just let it go. But so it doesn't always go, and I can't tell you the percentage, but I do of how much it reaches out. But the fact is that every business is in the business of making money. And
Hmm.
that's how they make money is they run ads and they have people go to buy things, and then they get credit card processing fees, they get different things that they, so that's how, because all the AI has lost money since they started, because they've just put so much into growth. And so now they're like, okay, how do we make money? Running
Hmm.
ads, selling from our platforms, things like that. So that's the goal for them, is to make money. So it'll just be happening more and more and more.
Yeah.
So back to what GEO is, like what you could do differently than SEO. Now, I wouldn't abandon SEO because they are very, very similar.
Hmm.
But what happens is that AI looks for trust signals. That's what
Hmm.
they term it, to decide if you are a trustworthy website to refer to somebody. And
Hmm.
if your competitor has more trust signals, they would probably be referred more than you would be. So trust signals include, if you've ever gone to a website and your computer's is like, are you sure you want to go here? This seems insecure,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's just that there's literally, they haven't bought a security certificate. It's called an SSL certificate. It's like $10 a year, and it adds the little S, HTTPS,
Hmm.
to it. And it's, if people were to purchase from your website, everything's encrypted and protected, right, in the
Hmm.
background. And so if you don't have a security certificate, that's a trust signal. You're less likely to be referred if your website is slow, if you don't have a good privacy policy. That's a huge thing. And
Hmm.
I can tell you that recently, like I've been doing a class, I do a class on how to show up in AI searches. So one of my students is like, Nina, can you help me do a privacy policy? So I did one, which then sent me down a rabbit hole, and I started looking at everybody's websites, and most people don't have like compliant privacy policies. I didn't have one. I
Mm-hmm.
had a privacy policy up in my menu. It has to be in the footer.
Mm-hmm.
And it has to have like a date, it has to have a link to a cookie policy. Like there's all
Yeah.
these things that have to be in there. And if you don't have that, not only does that affect if you show up on AI, but it also can impact you being able to advertise on Google and Facebook and different LinkedIn, things like that. So and then it's just kind of changing the language because people search in ChatGPT and other AI programs differently than they do on Google,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like you go to Google and you're like, where do I find rock salt?
Yeah.
Right? But you go to ChatGPT and you're like, what's an alternative to rock salt? Or you know what I mean? And what you have to do is the more closely you respond to the questions that's being asked, the faster ChatGPT or whichever one you use will find you and bring you up as the answer to their questions.
So, since AI is now summarizing and recommending resources, what should attorneys do? How should they look at their website and go, hey, we might need to change some things? I mean, other than like you talked to us about some of this, like the privacy policy, making sure you have that certificate. But is there anything like, should they think differently about their content? Like, should they still have a blog? Should they also have like a video, like implement video more on their site? What recommendations would you have?
It's going to depend on each site. Like, frankly, I don't have a lot of clients that I have embed videos only because video slows your site down.
Hmm.
So it's kind of like, well, what's the most important? Like, site speed's one of the top things. If your site's slow,
Hmm.
but yes, you should still have a blog, but you should change your titles from personal injury attorney in New Jersey to what do I do if I'm in New Jersey and get in a car accident? Like change it to the way people are asking questions on AI.
Hmm.
That and you can go in and you can update your blogs. The other big thing that people aren't doing as much as they should, and you and I met through Quoted, so you know this, but
Hmm.
the other way that trust is established is not so much how you talk about yourself, but
Hmm.
how others talk about you. So
Hmm.
you want to get on podcasts, you want to get quoted in media, and you should have a media page and you should link to all of that so
Hmm.
that AI can see that, oh, yeah, other people think you're good. So, still keep getting reviews because
Hmm.
that's important too. And if you can get backlinks, don't buy them. Don't go to a backlink farm. And like, it's all based on top tier publications. How do these rank? Now, anyway, I can get into the weeds. So I'm trying to like give you a broad overview, but one thing you can do, just go to AI and say, like, literally, marketing agencies are charging you a couple $100 a month to do this, but go to AI and say, here's who I help, here's how I help them. What are the top 10 or 20 questions being asked in this field this month? And use those to create content.
Hmm.
Yes, you should still be on social media. AI actually checks that and says you should be posting on social media regularly
Hmm.
um, because, and I tell everybody this, it's not that you're going to get tons of buyers from social media. It's that people are just verifying that you're a legitimate business, right? And they're
Hmm.
getting to know, like, and trust you as a person. And AI looks at that and says, are you the person who posts once a year when you're like, oh my God, I need business? Or are you like posting more consistently? And
And do you think AI will eventually phase out social media, or do you think it's still going to be relevant, like in 3 to 5 years?
oh, I don't think it'll phase it out, no. Because it's not I mean, hopefully we all know it's really not a relationship. And
Mhm.
as much as people are using AI more, it's actually leading people to want more of a human touch as well. So
Mhm.
both of those are important in your business.
Yeah.
Like be human, be accessible, talk to people.
And where do you think most law firms are wasting the most marketing or advertising dollars? Where do you see them constantly go and you're like, oh, you got to stop doing this because it's wasting your money?
Google Ads.
Really? Google Ads. That's interesting. Um, so with Google Ads, I mean, do you feel like it's just not the people like when people are searching, or is it because of AI that AI, that more people are going there?
I don't think it's because of AI. Frankly, I have always thought Google Ads are a big waste of money. And again, it goes back to trying to impress your competitor rather than
Okay.
actually get buyers. Because every law firm's like, oh, I spend 3,000, I spend 10,000, I spend 25, 100,000. So you're competing against everybody who's running a Google ad. So
Hmm.
the cost of obtaining one client from a Google ad for some fields can be like $500, $1,000, and you're getting a cold person,
Hmm.
right? Who then you have, who knows how long that takes to convert. But if you're posting on social media and people get to know you and they're like, oh, I like this person, I connect with them,
Yeah.
that time is so much better spent and faster, and you get people with buying intent,
Hmm.
right? And so I just think people heard Google ads and then they're like, oh my God, my neighbor's doing it. Oh my God, they're
Yeah.
doing it. I got to do it. And
Hmm.
they just didn't ever stop to think. And again, let's go back to most attorneys don't know numbers, and they don't take out the different platforms. They might say, oh, I'm spending 100,000 a year on marketing, but do they say it costs me $25 to get a lead in Facebook, it costs me $10 in YouTube, and it costs me 200 in Google? A lot of them don't. And
Hmm.
then they don't realize that it's that much more money. So I just think I mean, I'm all about organic growth. Like, I love the AI, but there's also a human touch. And I
Yeah.
think that establishing those relationships, I mean, most attorneys, if you talk to them, where they're not spending money is trying to get referrals. And which is stupid. Like, the cheapest
Hmm.
client you can get is the one you already have,
Hmm.
right? And then the next one is the one they refer to you.
Yeah.
So why aren't you doing more of that instead of trying to find individual cold people out there that take sometimes 2 years or 3 years to even convert into a buyer?
Right. Yeah, I would agree with that. And I do agree with you. Google Ads, because I've done it myself too. And you're right. You'll spend more once you're done with it and you're like, wow, this I spent all this money, it took all this time, and I got one client. This is not really worth it. So yeah, I love that you shared that. Now, because the show's called Chromatic Counsel, as you know, I love to always ask all of my guests, do you have a certain color or colors that you like to wear or maybe have around you when you're working to help you feel more inspired or that maybe uplift you?
I I have been known my entire life for wearing bright colors. Like, literally, when I was in law school once, a friend's like, "Oh, I saw someone in a lime green jacket at the bus stop," and I thought that must be Nina, you know. And so, green and purple are my favorite colors.
Mhm.
Right now, I have a couple like orange things that I just, they're easy to throw on and
Mhm.
not think. And so, like, I think this is kind of orange, and it's like easy to throw on and not think about it. So it's just whatever is like fast and easy, and it's comfortable, and I don't have to think about. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I have a final question for you, and this one's a little bit different. So I know you're not in law anymore, but if you had to build a law firm starting from scratch today, not, just like something happened, you're like, oh, I'm going to go back into law, I'm going to build my own firm. Knowing what you know now, what would you do differently?
hmm, that's a really good question. My dad had his own law firm my entire life,
Hmm.
and I worked there since I was like 7. I mean, I answered phones. I did so much with him, but um, I think one thing that most people do wrong is, especially as attorneys, we want to help people.
Mhm.
and we want to help. The more people, the better. Yay. Again, it's a dopamine rush. But
Mhm.
I think people really need to niche down
Yeah.
and do one thing really, really well instead of say, and I do this poorly. Like I'm like, I can help you with that. Oh yeah, I can help you with that. I can help you with that. So, but I think you do yourself a disservice if you try to do everything not that great. But if
Mhm.
you could do one thing really well and have really good processes and systems set up that you can make more money because you can charge more because you're experienced in it, but you're literally spending less time because you know how to do it, and you're
Mhm.
not learning every time a new client comes in how to do that area of law. Like
Mhm.
I went to somebody's website a week ago or so, and they were like specializing in, and then they had like 12 different areas, like personal injury, criminal, immigration, and I was like,
Yeah.
how specializing. Like that's the weirdest thing I've ever heard. So, and then I think it's a lot easier for people to recommend you. If they
Mhm.
know you for one thing,
Yeah.
then you're that person. Like that's who they think of when somebody says, "I need this." So that's what I would do if I were to do my own law firm is I wouldn't say I can do everything, is I would pick the one that I enjoy the most and I
Mhm.
would that adoption is a really good one because I
And
don't
it's
know
a
how much of
happy
a
one, right? It's a
yes,
happy part of law.
yes,
There's not that many parts of law that are happy.
exactly. I don't know how much money is in it, but I know that it's really happy. Everybody's
Yeah.
happy about it. So
Yeah, and I love that. And you're right, niching down. And I think that's good advice for anybody, even the non-attorneys who tune into the show, that if you're going to do that, whatever you're going to do, you need to just niche down. And you're right, we're all guilty of it, where somebody will say, "Hey, can you do this?" Or can you, and they're like, "Yeah, I can help you with that," because you don't want to turn down business. But in the end, it really does kind of, it's almost like pulling apart fabric. The more you stretch it, the more it's going to fray and it's going to come apart. And it's no longer that beautiful jacket or that beautiful shirt that you love. It's just kind of, it's frayed and it's worn. And I think it's the same thing with the services that we offer. So I love that advice. And we are coming to the close of the show, but I want to thank you so much, Nina, for joining us. And I love everything that you shared today. Is there anything coming up for you? Any events you're going to be speaking at, or anything coming up that you'd like to share with everyone?
I do teach periodically, so I actually have it next week, which this probably will not be in time, but almost every month or every other month, I do a training on how to show up in AI. So you can always visit my website, which is Harrow Helper, and I'm sure you'll link to it. But and I have other trainings that I run periodically, but that's the one that's really popular right now is how to show up in AI, and that goal is to get business from that. And so if you're interested in that, I'm happy to give you information if people reach out to me.
Absolutely. And you do that every month or
Yeah, I'm
ongoing?
trying to schedule it
Okay.
every month just because I've had a lot of interest in it, and then people miss it and they come to me. So yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, we do. We'll have a link in the show notes. So for those of you who are listening and tuning in, if what Nina shared with us today resonates with you and helps you, I hope you will click the like button, click on subscribe so you know when we release our next episode of Chromatic Counsel. And if you click on the link in the show notes below, you can go directly to her website and connect with her and find out about that event. But this is a wrap for this episode of Chromatic Counsel. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in. And I hope you can tune in next time. And as always, we are wishing you continued success.